Greetings fellow gorehounds and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru and today I'm going to talk about Crawl, the latest movie by Alexandre and Sam Raimi, who, for those of you who don't know, were the individual directors of High Tension and The Evil Dead respectively, as well as a bunch of other awesome movies, both horror and non-horror alike. But especially horror, I can't stress that enough. So naturally, when I found out that this movie was basically being put together by a super group of horror filmmakers, I was 100% on board. I don't even need a trailer, just tape my eyes open and put it in front of me like a Clockwork Orange and let me soak it in. And then of course, when they finally released their trailer, and the trailer was fucking awesome, I was like, yes! And that was when I also found out that not only is this movie a collaboration between two of my favorite filmmakers, it turns out the movie is also one of my favorite guilty pleasure horror subgenres, an animals attack movie. Now to be clear, when I say guilty pleasure in this context, I don't actually mean I feel guilty about it, just that most animals attack movies suck. I mean, a lot of them are fun in that they're really dumb and stupid, and I like dumb and stupid. But let's be real here, outside of Jaws and a few others, most of them are just bad. Though now that I think about it, I suppose you could say that about any horror subgenre, so I guess I'm just talking out of my ass here. Anyway, the point is, the movie is an animals attack movie, and not only that, it's about killer gators. And believe me when I say, I can count the number of good killer gator movies on one hand, two hands if I include crocodile movies. So especially when you narrow it down that way, a lot of them aren't very good. But this one looked really fucking good, and I was like, yes! Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me! And then to add on to my excitement and also frustration, the trailer for the movie was in front of every other horror movie I saw this year. So all the horror movies, both good and bad, were all taunting me with this trailer, and I was just like, God damn it, man, I just want to see Crawl. I really want to fucking see Crawl. Give me Crawl. Man, it kind of sounds like I'm saying crawl there. Crawl, 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 crawl. Huh. That's weird. And then finally the movie came out, and then I finally saw it, and it's fucking great, guys. Crawl is everything I wanted it to be, and so much more. It's just a no bullshit, no holds barred roller coaster ride of a film about one girl and her father's fight for survival against a bunch of killer gators. It's intense, it's bloody as fuck, and at times it gets your heartstrings going. Because at its core, it's a movie about an estranged daughter and her father reconnecting in the most dire of circumstances. And every single level of that development totally worked for me. The relationship was well written, and on top of that, the actors gave very solid performances, and I was rooting for them the entire time to survive and to reconnect and to stop being estranged from each other. And speaking of the performances, the main actress in this movie, whose name now escapes me but I'll put right here, yeah, I think you should all keep an eye out for her because if she does more movies like this, she could totally be the next big scream queen. I thought she was both awesome in this movie and I was just amazed at her ability to evoke empathy from the audience. Now on to the thing that I think is going to be the most controversial aspect of this movie, and that's the fact that this movie uses a lot of CGI. You got some CGI gators, you got some CGI gore, and on top of that, the storm that surrounds their house and keeps them inside is also CGI. Not completely, mind you, it definitely looked like they actually flooded a soundstage in this movie multiple times, and I applaud that. But there were other times where I'm like, yeah, that's clearly a digital effect. But here's the thing about the CGI in this movie. I thought it worked. Like, my number one complaint about CGI in horror movies is that so often it takes you out of the movie and isn't very scary in the first place, so why bother? But in this movie, the CGI was both very good and it never took me out of the experience. I felt fear when I was supposed to feel fear. I was totally on the edge of my seat when all the intense fucking suspense sequences were happening. And those really gory moments where I'm supposed to be going, oh man, ooh, fucking brutal. I was doing that throughout the entire movie. Now that's partially because they insert a lot of practical gore with the CGI gore, but even with the purely CGI gore, it worked. I know, blasphemy, I can't believe I'm saying it, but it did. Now, I don't think it's going to work for all of you out there, but for most of you that are on the fence about that kind of stuff, give this movie a chance, it might change your mind. Or if nothing else, you'll at least find a movie where it doesn't bother you as much. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, there's not much more for me to talk about that's not a pure spoiler. I love the movie. I highly recommend it. It's definitely going to be one of my top 5 horror movies of the year. At least it's currently sitting there at the moment. If something else dethrones it, I'll let you know. But as it stands, go fucking see Crawl. It's like sitting through like a theme park ride. You know, one of those rides at like Disneyland or Universal Studios where things are popping out at you and you're sitting in a chair the whole time. That's what this movie felt like when I was in the theater, and I jumped multiple times at its very good jump scares. Yeah, that's right. This is a movie with jump scares, and I'm praising the fuck out of the jump scares. That's how much this movie does good. That's how much this movie does good. That sounds really weird. I should word that differently. That's how much this movie does well. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, as per usual, I'll include some sort of Amazon affiliate link in the description below. And if you click that link and buy or pre-order or rent a movie with that link, then I will get a kickback from it. And as I've said many times, every single dollar helps. Oh yeah, and one more thing before we get to the spoilers. This movie has fur baby death, but it's not the fur baby death you think it's gonna be, so I don't know how to warn you without spoiling you, so enter at your own discretion. And I guess now we'll go to the spoilers. So yeah, like I said in the earlier section, I really like the relationship between the father and daughter in this movie. Essentially, the main character becomes estranged from her father because when she was really little, he used to go really hard on trying to get her to become the best swimmer ever. And it's a classic case that because he went so hard on her on that, he kind of cut himself off emotionally from what she needed. Because what she needed wasn't a drill sergeant, what she needed was a father. And to make matters worse, she kind of blames herself for her father and her mother separating because her father was spending all this time with her at the swim meets, and not enough time tending to his relationship with the mom. And every single aspect of that was really relatable and raw and real. The 3 most important R's, unless you're a pirate. And there's a lot of nail-biting suspense scenes in this movie, but one in particular really got me. There's a sequence in this movie in which the water levels have risen so high that they're in the house, but it's like up to their fucking like chest. And the dad is trying to get the daughter to come to him by the stairs, but instead he sees the dog coming. And at this point in the movie, alligators are fucking everywhere, so you have no idea where it's gonna come from. And you have this really intense sequence in which this dog is paddling over to the father, and the father's like, "Come on, girl, get on over here. Hurry, you can do it." And stupid me is sitting in the theater like, "Oh my god, they're gonna kill the dog. Oh, Jesus, they're gonna kill the dog." But then, surprise, they don't kill the dog. The dad gets bitten by the fucking alligator, and it takes his arm off. And stuff like that is this movie in a nutshell. Just misdirection up the wazoo. Very simple, intense, and suspenseful setups that follow up with really surprising and horrific results. And I'm all about that shit. And just goddamn, this movie is just so much fun. It's not gonna blow your mind or anything. It has nothing to say about, like, the human condition. Nor does it have anything to say about the socio-political state of the world outside of some peripheral stuff about levees breaking and shit. But it is without a doubt some of the most fun I had with a horror movie this year, and that's saying a lot. And oh yeah, since we're in the spoiler section, yeah, the dog totally lives. So if you saw the trailer for this movie and saw that pupper in the water and were super stressed out, fear not. Though there is the aftermath of a dead cat, so that's why my warning at the beginning was a little wishy-washy. And so now you know. Just damn, what more can I talk about? Let's see, I loved all the secondary characters in this movie, all the people that come to try to help them and then immediately get fucking eviscerated by these crocodiles. In particular, there's this one sequence that is hilarious as all fuck, in which these 3 teenagers are trying to rob this convenience store that's flooded, and they're trying to take, like, the ATM machine. But one of the teenagers notices the lights coming from the basement of the house that they're trapped in, and that's the main characters trying to signal to them. And then while that teenager is watching the lights and going, I think someone's in that basement, behind them, quietly, a crocodile is eating his girlfriend. And I love that for all the horror and suspense in this movie, at least that scene was played for some solid laughs. And boy did I need it after the intensity of the rest of this movie, so thank you, Alexandre. Anyway, with that all said, my fellow gorehounds, I highly recommend Crawl, and you should go see it in the theaters and see it on the biggest screen you can because, my god, is it worth it. And when you do go see it for yourself, pop back in here and let me know what you thought. And with that said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring my notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you're interested in supporting my channel more directly, I'll also link to my Patreon in the description below. And should you choose to go that route, remember that even $1 a month can go a long way. And with that all said, peace out, my fellow Gorehounds, and I'll catch y'all later.